Hey guys, it's Christy. Welcome back to my channel. Kind of took yesterday off. I wasn't feeling great. Kind of laid in bed yesterday and watched a bunch of stuff, and I think I just needed to take the day off from true crime, honestly. But today I woke up and I've been sitting here thinking about Kiely's mom, and I've been working on some update videos. Sorry, just a second. Some update videos about a lot of the missing persons cases that I've covered, and one of the murder cases that I've covered. I've been planning to do some update videos, and it hit me that sadly there really isn't much to update in any of them, and that brought me back to Kiely's mom. So I decided that my update video is going to be combined into this video, and the reason for that is that statement that she made at Kiely's celebration of life, where she said there is honor in silence. I have tiptoed around the mom because I realize she is a grieving mother. And in my past videos, you know that I have said to give this woman grace, give her the time and the space that she needs to grieve in whatever way she wants to grieve. I defended her when she lashed out at Adventures with Purpose, explaining that when we're grieving, sometimes we misplace our anger and our blame where it doesn't belong. With all of that being said, and I do understand she's grieving, and I know that one of the stages of grief is denial, and maybe that's where she is. You know, maybe she literally, we've seen pictures of her embracing Sammy in particular, but she's really embraced the teens in the community that came together to search for Kiely and all this. But these are the same teens that left her daughter there at that party where she ended up in the water, where she ended up dying. And as a mom, I absolutely would not want to believe that somebody that was a friend of my daughter could do something to her. And, you know, maybe that's why she seems so accepting of it being an accident, because her mind just won't let her go to the other option. And that's fine. But at the same time, I don't think as a mother, if I knew that my daughter's best friend, good friend, whoever, openly came out and said she was too drunk to drive and things of that nature, and I knew that they left my daughter there and this was the result, it would be hard for me to be around them and hugging them and praising them. And I mean, every time I looked at them, all I would be able to think is, you left her. Why would you leave her in that state with all of those people around that were scary, sketchy. You didn't know. Why did you leave her? So the way that I react is not obviously the way that everyone's going to react. And this mother is entitled to react and feel however she wants to feel. Nobody is begrudging her that. But one thing that she said that I can't tiptoe around, and I absolutely cannot just let go, is when she said there's honor in silence. I have followed enough cases, I have covered enough cases to know that none of these families would agree with that. None. Not one. To me, silence in these cases is betrayal. Even if there was somebody out of that 200 to 400 people that were at that party that saw Kiely drive off, and let's say this was an accident, and they saw her when she accidentally made the wrong turn and ended up in the water or whatever. How is there honor in keeping that to yourself? I would want answers. No matter how hard they would be to accept, I would want the truth. And the truth needs to be spoken. You stay silent when you have something to hide. And what happens in the dark always comes to the light. Always. And to me, like I said, you're silent when you have something to hide. And there's no honor in that. And I'm going to highlight several of the cases that I have covered, that I am covering, one that I'm getting ready to start covering, and a few that are very widely known. And if any of the people connected to these victims in these cases I think that there's honor in silence, you can comment and let me know that you think that there's honor in silence, and I will come back and retract my statement. But I don't think any of you would believe that any of you would go along with that. So with that being said, let's just start going through this list. And we're going to start with this one. Jules Fuentes. Right there in California, where Kiely went missing. I got some notes here. Not major notes like I normally have, but a statistic type sheet, I guess you would say. And Jolissa has been missing for 37 days. 37 days. I want you to notice this poster, and thank you to all of you who have been sharing this on your social media. It's so appreciated. But this is new. If you look, the reward has gone up. It's now $15,000. So go to the Facebook page and get the new flyer and start sharing that, because the reward has increased. They had their fundraiser over the weekend, and it sounds like it went really well, and I'm so glad to hear that. But yeah, like I said, Jules has been missing for 37 days. Adventures with Purpose went there, and their family was very thankful to have them there. And luckily, they did not find Julissa in the water. Their videos are out now for members only. I can't remember, but in the next few days, maybe even today, it's available for everybody. There's 2 episodes, and I highly recommend going to Adventures with Purpose on YouTube and watching them. I knew they didn't find her, but watching the video, in one, they come across this large stump, right? And there's something weird about it, so they can't rule out that it's a car. They don't think it's a car, but they dive on it just in case, just to make absolutely sure. And knowing they didn't find her, I was still like, oh God, because I mean, it could have been somebody else, but yeah, they cleared the water, and the river that I had been concerned about apparently is so low that you wouldn't be able to hide a car in it. So that was all good to hear. But this family doesn't want you to be silent. If you know something, if you saw something, they want you to come forward. They want your tips. They need your tips. They need your help. They need to hear what you have to say, because they are desperate to bring her home. The whole community is desperate to bring her back. This family is working so hard. So hard. They're one of the most dedicated families I have ever seen, and they have done so much on their own, outside of the police effort. And I don't know them personally, but I would almost guarantee that they don't think there's honor in silence. Silence won't bring Julissa home. It won't. Silence is going to be what keeps her missing. And like I said, that's betrayal. So I guarantee you that Julissa Fuentes' family wants you to say something. And then we have little JoJo Aragon. If you didn't watch my videos about this, I really encourage you to go back and watch them if you haven't heard about this case, because it is absolutely heartbreaking. It has been 38 days since little JoJo was murdered in broad daylight, 2 days before his birthday. He was only 14 years old. He was murdered outside of a busy rec center that was open for their free swim period. This was before the kids went back to school. There was a neighborhood right there, yet they have no leads. Nobody has come forward to say that they saw anything, that they heard anything. He was beaten, he was shot, and he was stabbed. Somebody knows something in this case, and I promise you that JoJo's family does not want your silence. They don't. They need to know what happened to their little boy. They deserve to know what happened to their little boy, and they deserve justice for what happened to this little boy. 14 years old, y'all. 14. Like I said, if you're not familiar with this case, and you're probably not because it hasn't been heavily covered, go back and watch my videos about JoJo. There's a playlist. But this is definitely one of those cases that if you see something, say something. If you saw something, you need to come forward and say something for this family. It is ridiculous to stay silent in a case where a 14-year-old was brutally murdered in broad daylight. I promise you, JoJo's family wants your help. They don't want your silence. And then we have Kendra Battello, who I just recently covered. She's here in Oklahoma somewhere. Kendra has been missing for 70 days. 70 days her family has been looking for her, wanting to hear from her, just wanting to know that she's safe. They don't want your silence. They're begging for your help. They've gotten very little cooperation from the police. The communication with the police is practically non-existent. They're another family that is doing so much, that is working so hard on their own to get answers about where she is and is she okay. 70 days of nothing. No leads, no suspects, nothing. And I promise you, they don't want you to be silent. They want you to talk, and they want you to talk loud, and they want you to talk to the police or come to them with any information. Your silence is betraying them. And this is a Native American woman. She's one of the many missing and murdered Indigenous people that I started this channel to help because I am Cherokee Indian. And as a Native American woman, we don't want your silence. We want you to speak out. If you know what happened to Kendra, let somebody know. If you know where she is, let somebody know. Another Native American woman from here in Oklahoma that I have been covering from the beginning of my channel is Cara Cocks, and she is still missing. And like I said, she is another of the missing and murdered Indigenous women out there. She is Native American. Cara has now been missing for 123 days. 123 days. And I really encourage you to go back and watch my videos about this case because it will blow your mind. She left with her truck driver boyfriend, Adam Stapp, to join him on a run out to California. He has consistently changed his stories about what happened. He even helped her sister search for her here in Oklahoma for days, knowing that she wasn't here. From what we understand, what we have come to believe, he left her in literally the middle of nowhere, Essex, California, at a rest area. And there's nothing out there but the Mojave Desert. I talked to her sister, and I'm pretty sure that I can say on her behalf, she does not want your silence, and she wouldn't find honor in your silence. She wants answers. Cara's kids want answers, and they deserve those answers. They want to know what happened, where is she, and they want to bring her home. And silence won't do that. The only thing that will do that is for somebody who saw something to come forward and say something and help us find her. This is a case that I have just started looking into. It's Savannah Hale. Savannah has been missing for 132 days. Y'all, people don't just vanish. She was a student at LSU, and she's just disappeared. Her family needs answers. They need someone to come forward and say they saw her and when, or they saw her car and where, so they know where to start looking for this beautiful girl. Again, silence won't bring her home. Silence will not give them the answers that they so desperately want and need and deserve. Like I said, I will be covering this. I need to do a little more research into it, but I wanted to add her to this because, again, that silence is not what these families want. This is Nathan McGrew. I covered his case. You can go watch that video. Nathan has been missing, are you ready for this? 1,212 days. He disappeared before his daughter was even born. And now she's like 3 years old. Do you think that his family and his little daughter want you to be silent? Imagine his daughter never knowing what happened to her dad, where he went, why he's not here in her life. Does that sound like a situation where there's honor in silence? No. That little girl deserves to know why she has been robbed of her daddy. So I can guarantee you that they do not want your silence. Sorry, my phone. Okay, let's see. Now we're going to move into cases that you probably have heard of, but there's still no answers. Little Summer Moon Utah Wells out of Tennessee. I'm sure you've all heard of Little Summer and her disappearance. Summer has been missing for 455 days with no answers. This case is another one that it's kind of turned into a circus. It's a mess. And there's really no good leads or any direction in this case. And I feel like people have been silent, and that hasn't helped bring any answers to what happened to this little girl. And she deserves to be found and brought home. And if she's no longer with us, she deserves to be laid to rest properly. And that's only going to come by somebody speaking up and saying that they saw something or that they know something. So I guarantee you the TBI doesn't want your silence in this case. This one is near and dear to my heart, and I will be covering it. And it's been going on for too long. Daniel Robinson. He has been missing for 447 days. His dad is one of the most incredible people I have ever seen. Their family is from South Carolina, and his dad has got an apartment out in Arizona. He kind of travels back and forth. He is out there all the time in the desert searching for his son. 447 days. Every day he posts on Twitter about his son. Where is his son? He wants answers. He doesn't want silence. He would be happy for any tiny tip. Anything he would be happy with, but he would not be happy with silence. He is not happy with silence because there is a lot of silence around this case. Dolan Rounds. Bet you've heard of this one too, haven't you? Because it's getting covered heavily. Dylan's been missing for 110 days. 110 days. And this case is another one it's a mess. Law enforcement out there it's a mess. And, you know, people, sorry. People that have talked and are talking are just causing more confusion, honestly. They need some real answers. They need to know who really saw what happened. They need honesty. They need the truth. And I'm sure that Dylan's parents don't want you to be silent because there's already been enough of that. And that silence has caused their son to be missing for this long, and they just want to bring him home. And then finally, sorry, the Delphi murders. I think probably most true crime people know about the Delphi murders. This one has held my interest since it happened. You might know it as the Snapchat murders, but they couldn't let me get through one video without causing chaos. I'm sorry. So, Abigail Williams and Liberty German were murdered 2,038 days ago. And they still don't know who's responsible. Now, recently there have been some interesting developments in the case. I'm hoping to cover that, but I would really recommend going over to my friend Chris at the Mob Crew. His channel is covering it. He has covered it. He's done a lot for this case, about this case. And if you want to see what the latest developments are, I would go to the Mob Crew and watch his videos. But their families have been suffering for over 5 years, since February 13th of 2017. They have been suffering, wondering who could have done this horrendous thing to these two girls on a day off from school. You know, they have a picture, they have audio of the suspect, and they still can't find him. And this is another one that somebody knows something and they need to speak up. You know, I can understand in situations being afraid to come forward with the information, but you can't let these families suffer. You can't let them just go on indefinitely not knowing what happened. You have to find the courage or find a way to get the information to the right people so these people can be found or justice can be served for them. Whatever the situation, you need to find a way to make it happen. So, like I said, I have kind of tiptoed around the mom because I respect what she's going through, and I understand that it's not an easy time. But you cannot go out there and make a statement like that. If you go back to the beginning, you asked people for information. You asked people to come forward. You didn't want silence at the beginning. You wouldn't have said there's honor in silence when you were desperately looking for your child. But now that she's been found and people care enough to want to know the truth about what happened to your daughter, now you think there's honor in silence. And there's not. I'm sorry. If y'all think I'm being mean to this mom, I'm sorry. But look at all the other cases I presented here today and tell me that there's honor in people keeping silent. There's just not. There's just not. If people had stayed silent and not begged Adventures with Purpose to go and help in the search for Kiely, she would still be in that lake, upside down, in the cargo area of her car. And this family would still be wondering what happened. Where is she? Thinking that she could be abducted or trafficked or whatever. But people didn't stay silent and they found Kiely. There is honor in that. So that's all I really wanted to say for now. Got a guy coming out here to see if my property is ready for the hay to be cut. So I'm going to go deal with that. But let me know what you think. And spread the word about all these missing people. Share this video. Give it a thumbs up so more people can see this video and see all of these missing people that don't want silence. I would really appreciate that. Everybody take care. Everybody try to make it a good day. And I will see you in the next one.